back to me talking about my version of the Marauders in podcast form with Emma. And looky what we got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Why is that our go-to post? Yes, the back says, here, let me read it because I don't remember. It says, let's jump, no. Walk, no. I have to be really close. I'm taking my mic out of this because I need to do it. Saunter, no. Creep, no. Sachet, no. Mosey, no. Wander, ... Should we just start? I think it's fantastic. This is not official merch. I should say that right off the bat.
It is.
Well, it is, but like we're not selling it.
It's official to me.
Okay. But yeah, it was like Emma's dad was like, "Yo, what if I made you guys merch?" And now we have merch. So, you know, but it's just for us. It's not for you guys. You're not allowed to have it. It's just special for us.
Gatekeeping your own merch.
Yes, I'm gatekeeping my own merch. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll release merch, but not anytime soon. I'm far too busy. Yeah, so we go back. Do you go back tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, it's like 5 a.m. tomorrow is when my flight leaves. So
Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't.
Just move it to my flight. There's empty seats on my flight. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Here's another fun fact. We're recording this at like 10 a.m. Which isn't that early. We've recorded things earlier. Do you remember when we recorded an episode before school?
I know.
Why did we do that?
2 hours before school.
Yeah. Like why?
Why not?
It was like 4 a.m. and we were like, you know what?
When you're awake, you're awake.
See,
And,
but
like,
that doesn't apply to me. I guess it used to. Life before the dysautonomia was pretty bonkers. I'll tell you that. Yeah, going back to school, we just, okay, because here's the thing. You might have noticed in your school that there are more people with dysautonomia than there were before COVID. And that is because COVID has been causing dysautonomia. There's not a ton of research on it, but it's clearly happening. Like, it's part of long COVID, is dysautonomia. So anyway, I had it, and like everybody in show choir like saw me going through it and stuff, and now 2 other people in show choir have it, and so I keep on making fun of them, and I'm like, man, I can't believe you stole my brand and stuff. But then I'm talking to I can't say his name, but I'm talking to my chorus teacher. I went and I visited the school yesterday. I should probably say that. I'm talking to my chorus teacher. He's like, you know, everybody has it, right? And I was like, I was just really ahead of the curve.
I'm
But
so
like,
glad for you.
but he's like kids in like, he has classes that aren't like, that are music classes but aren't strictly chorus classes, and he's like, kids in those classes are like, yo, I got this crazy thing, you're never gonna have heard of it before. It's called dysautonomia. And he's like, I am familiar. but yeah, it's been pretty bonkers. But anyway, point is, I went back to school and I don't remember a single thing that happened my senior year, and it's so funny. Like, it's just like, what's going on? But anyway, because I'm like sitting with these girls and they're like talking about like things, and I was like, you got to remind me of what happened last year. And they're like, girl, you were there. And I was like, was I? Because I don't know. So anyway, that's been my most exciting part of like the whole week. What about you?
I got my COVID booster, and
Oh yeah.
I've mostly just slept since then.
Yeah. Man, I wonder what this is. No, but yeah, I'm not allowed to get my COVID booster because of the dysautonomia. I'm not allowed to get like a couple of vaccines. And it's just like, it's kind of crazy because like I thought it's really weird to have your doctor be like, please don't get a vaccine. And I'm like, wait, I thought that was like important, and I know you're not anti-vax, but it's so funny. So, we spent New Year's together. That was kind of fun.
I kind of, if you had posted like a questions thing, I would have been like, how was your New Year?
My New Year's was great because I spent it with Emma, and it was so much fun. But yeah, we got like a, you guys have like a beach house on like the Outer Banks. It
We
was
did
pretty
a
fun.
puzzle.
We did a puzzle. We did a cool puzzle.
It
It was
was
a Harry Potter puzzle, and I don't usually like associate with like official Harry Potter merch because I don't like J.K. Rowling.
It was a good
But it was a good puzzle. It was a really fun puzzle. Well, we love puzzles. That's like the one thing between our families. We're like puzzles. They're so much fun.
I remember my mom being like, should we bring a puzzle? We'll be able to finish it. And my dad was like, do you know who we invited?
My mom was so literally on the drive back home. My mom was so sad because she felt like she didn't contribute enough to the puzzle. She was like, I was off my game and I was so embarrassed. And I was like, Mom, it's a puzzle. Like, it's okay. But
she was a star puzzler. She
Okay.
was dedicated.
Okay. She will very much appreciate that. Oh yeah, we should probably bring up this. This is my favorite Christmas present I got. It's just a picture of my dog on a pillow because I miss my dog a lot. I'm seeing my dog in a couple days and it makes me so happy. You know there's going to be a TikTok about that and it's just going to be me sobbing at my dog being like, "Yo, you're back."
I love that if you turn around it's the same thing.
Yep. Okay, somebody's so right next to, they're not by the same person, so it's not like they corrected themselves, but somebody said, "What's your favorite part about college?" And then someone said, "What is your part about college?" So what's your part about college? What is it?
I just really like the people.
Well,
like,
no, what's your part?
That's it.
Your part
Are you
is
gonna
that.
tell me I'm wrong?
So here's the thing.
You don't know my part. You don't go to my college.
Here's my part of college. That moment when like you go to the dining hall but it's closed because it's a Saturday. That's my part of college.
No, I have not experienced that part of college.
Do your dining halls not close on Saturdays?
No.
Dang.
Do you not eat food on Saturdays?
No, it's just the one that's close to me
No.
closes. That one closes on Saturday and the other one closes on Sunday. So, people have a break. It's kind of wacky.
Some days it does close like weirdly early, so then we just get ice cream.
Nice. The Marauders as college majors. James is sports medicine. Yeah. Feel like that's accurate.
I feel like Sirius would just not.
Yeah. I feel like that's accurate, but like I want to answer the question too. So I'm like,
I don't know, like finance.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he'd do finance?
He's just like, I don't know, that's a thing. Might as well just get out of here.
I think he would do something artistic, Like I feel like he would surprise everyone with a theater degree,
I feel like he would just be like, this seems easy enough.
He's like, I can do that. It's fine. Yeah, Peter is questionable because I feel like Remus would do like literature, history, or something like that, But Peter is Peter would be finance. That's a Peter move. He would be like, I can do that probably. I don't know.
I feel like maybe biology. Just why not?
That would be a good one for him. I'm taking a biology class this semester. It's not gonna go well. I'm just gonna let everybody know that. I am always like, yeah, I can be like a science girl. Like, let's do it. And then I'm like in a base level science class and I'm like, what is happening? I get so confused. Science has never been good. I have only ever I got straight A's all through high school. I don't know how, but the only reason I ever did in science, it was always my lowest grade. And it was just because of pure spite and like extra credit and like I don't know. It was not because I knew science. I never walked out of a single class knowing a single thing.
I hope you know I took science classes as electives.
I know you did. And I envy you for that because I'm like, that would be so cool. Like you just know chemistry. And then I'm like, what is I get so confused. I had to talk to you so much about significant figures. I still don't know what they are.
You just
how they work. You just kind of guess.
Sometimes you know.
No.
Sometimes it's just like.
I disagree with that statement. I never knew what was going on with sig figs ever. Not once in my life. We're gonna make sure that this didn't die because for some reason it turned off. Okay, we're good.
I think I would take like 100 physics classes before I would take show choir.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So we're gonna sizzle on into this episode, because I feel like we just kind of didn't talk about anything for a while. I don't know. Anyway, I'm very excited for this episode. I think it's gonna be great. I cannot wait to sizzle on in. Anyway, okay. So last episode, some things happened at the end. I kind of forgot to write Kyra into this episode, but I promise we will get back to her. Don't worry. But this is good. Anyway, so eventually Lily and James are called into Dumbledore's office like first thing in the morning because like he's like, listen, I gotta like say something to the school about like what actually happened to Hogsmeade. Sorry about that. Because he's like low-key wholeheartedly believed that if Lily hadn't gotten everyone out, something would have happened because they did like show up and like check the village afterwards. And they're like, well, shoot.
I'm so glad Dumbledore let them all get like a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Well, you know, what was really the point in telling them that, you know? Anyway, so Dumbledore is like, okay, James, I think you had the right idea, like, after the mission, like, distracting everyone, like, you know, reminding them, like, what's important. James is like, well, yeah, but, like, he's like, okay, but, like, Loki, I don't think the bloody handprint is, like, that important, but, like, thank you. I do appreciate
They
it.
made James head boy because he can do a good scavenger.
Literally. It's the only reason. But he's like, but Dumbledore's like, okay, I'm gonna like have like a talk with like the student body. Like I'm gonna tell them like what happened and like say, yo, the war is real, stuff like that. And he's like, and I'm gonna need you to have something ready afterwards. James is like, and James is like, wait, what? And he's like, I'm gonna need you to like do something exciting.
He's like, all right, let's go find Jeffrey.
You know, yeah, but James is like, okay, so he's literally asking me as head boy to organize a good prank for the whole school. But he's like, I understand. And Lily's like, oh my gosh. But then as they leave, Dumbledore is like, and James, don't be afraid to, you know, break a few things just because I asked you to do it. He's like, I understand. We're gonna make this good.
He's like, that was in the plan.
He's like, there's already something going on. Anyway. But anyway, so Lily and James head off to the Great Hall. They're like discussing ideas. It's been a long time since he's done like a school-wide thing, you know? Because, you know, as head boy, he was kind of like, maybe not, you know? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. But now he's like, okay, well, shoot, we got to come up with something. And so they sit down and they explain it to the others, and the boys are all getting to scheming. And Remus is like, I've always wanted to do something with the ghosts. And they're like, and he's like, do you think with Dumbledore on our side, we could like actually convince them to do something? And Sirius is like, to do what? And he's like, I don't know, tons of things. They could just pretend they're not ghosts anymore. And Sirius is like, what would that accomplish? He's like, I don't know. You are the ones who were asking for ideas. Okay. But Lily wasn't paying attention anymore. And soon James isn't either because she had gotten a letter. And it wasn't on parchment. It's like, it's a muggle letter. And so, do you know what's coming?
I don't know.
You might. A lot of people would know. This was my most popular Marauders headcanon TikTok. Anyway, but she's not paying attention, so it's something Muggle, and Muggle things are about her family. And so James is like, okay, like what's up? And because she's already opened it and stuff, and Lily just looks at him and she just like shook, and then she hands over her sister's wedding invitation, and soon the others catch on. And they're all like, whoa, what the heck? and they're like passing it around and they're like, oh, okay, like that's kind of cool. And she like says very loudly, she's like, I'm not going. And James is like, wait a second. And because she had also gotten a letter with it and she had just finished reading it, and she's like, yeah, no, I'm not going. And so James takes the letter from her and starts reading it. But Sirius is like, wait, but like, isn't it good? Like, she's inviting you to her wedding. She must not like low-key think that you killed her parents, you know? Like,
she's like, serious.
But she's like, doesn't mean she's not being a jerk about it. And Sirius is like, okay, you know, that's fine. But he feels like that's a pretty good explanation, but Remus does not. And he's like, okay, what did she say? And Lily's like, oh, just that she, you know, is only doing it because it would look really bad to Vernon's family if she didn't invite her own sister. And unfortunately, they already knew that like I existed, but that I can't be a bridesmaid, much less like maid of honor, like a sister is supposed to be. And that I'd better be good and stay quiet. And I also have to make a good impression. And also, I can't be like strange and like I always am. And also, I have to bring a +1, but it can't be James. And it was at that moment James finished reading and he's like, you have to go. And she's like, no. And she's like, after how she's treated me, she's made it very clear she doesn't want me as a sister anymore, but she's more than welcome to that opinion. And he's like, Lily, she's giving you like an olive branch here. And she says, shut up with your biblical references. You don't even know what they mean. I needed something there. Anyway, Anyway, the others look confused, but Remus just laughs, and James shakes his head slightly, and he's like, look, I'm not saying that she's not being a total jerk right now, but she's trying. You two were never close before your parents died, and I'm sure it wouldn't be that weird to people if she didn't invite you. Like, she could have claimed all sorts of, like, terrible things about you, or if she was really trying to just appear normal to Vernon's family, she would have claimed that she invited you, and that would be it, and you just wouldn't show up. And he's like, she wants you there, Lily. Lily's like, shoot, like she knows he's right, but she's like, dang, like I don't want to go. And she's like, okay, no, but I can't go anyway. We know what happens. We literally just saw what happened when I went to Hogsmeade. Like I can't just leave here and like be unprotected. And then like I would literally bring Death Eaters to like her wedding. Like that's not gonna happen. And he's like, okay, the ministry is already protecting Petunia, right? They know that she's having a wedding and they'd like have extra precautions ready. And then if you said you're coming, they'd double it. Like you're gonna be fine. And Lily's like, shoot. And she's like, James is being right, and I don't like that. But she's still angry about that note. But then she turns to the others, and she's like, what do you think? Should I go? And immediately all the boys are like looking down and like not. They're like, look at that lovely
candle.
We love a good candle. Wow. But anyway, she's like, Remus, what do you think I should do? And Remus like just kind of looks at her slowly, and he's like, I think you should, but I'm not going to make you. And she's like, why? And he's like, because I think it would be nice to her, and I think she's probably had a hard year too. And Lily's like, dude, freaking rude. Anyway, and then she's like, I've had a hard year too. And then she's like, Peter. And Peter's like, doesn't want to do it. And he's like, I have no opinion. And she's like, of course you do. He's like, I think you should go. And doesn't say anything. And she's like, why? He's like, I'm not saying anything. But then she's like, serious, you don't honestly think I should go back to my horrible sister who hates everything I do you? And Sirius thinks for a moment. And then he's like, if Regulus asked me to go to his wedding, I would. And she's like, screw you. I don't want this. But, you know, and James is like smiling because he knows that he won with that. But then she's like, shoot. And she just groans. She's like, I hate you all. You know that. And she's like, fine, I'll go. But Remus, you're coming with me. And James is like, he's not. And she's like, what do you mean he's not? You can't go. And he's the most sane. And he's like, it's on the 5th. And immediately Remus is like, oh, shoot, no, I can't. I'm sorry. And she's like, why? Are you busy? Are you busy? And she's like, what do you have going on? And he's like, well, unless you'd like a furry creature to make an appearance for your sister as and her wedding guests to all become magical beings, I would go ahead and say that March 5th isn't going to work for me. And she's like, shoot, you have a point there. And she's like, oh my gosh, the 5th is a full moon. And he's like, why? I believe it is. What?
Crazy.
But she's like, but then none of you can go. And he's like, no, they can. Don't let them tell you otherwise. I can survive one night. It's going to be fine. And so then Lily looks back and forth between Sirius and Peter. And she's like, oh no. And she's like, Peter. And he's like, no. He's like, you don't want me. And she's like, it has to be you. I can't take that leather jacket wearing person. They'd see right through him. And he's like, but I know nothing about muggles. I look normal here, but with them, I'd have no idea what I'm doing. Plus, I'm awkward. You don't want an awkward person at a wedding. It's just not good. He's like, and I hate
the number one rule.
He's like, and I hate weddings. I'd mess up everything. I'd say something that gives away magic. Plus, I have a date that night with Kyra, and you know what? You kind of messed up my last date with Kyra. And I very much need to make up for it. And Lily's like, oh my gosh. But then she's like, but I can't be rude to Kyra. So then she looks at Sirius and she's like, she just looks at him for a while and then she's like, no, it's not gonna work, Peter, it has to be you. And Sirius is like, I can be very good at parties. And he's like, I know loads about muggle cars and muggle football. And she's like, how do you know about football? And he's like, Remus likes the library and I had to find something in the library that interested me. And did you know there's a quite regularly updated section about muggle football magazines? Isn't that nifty? And she's like, oh my gosh. And she's like, I'm not gonna take you serious. I'll find someone else. I'll find a muggle born I can take. And he's like, yeah, who has no idea who you are, how to talk to you. Like, yeah. Plus, I'll remind you, she's marrying a jerk, Lily. You need a friend there that night. Plus, I also know music. I know more muggle music than anyone else here. And she's like, okay, me? But like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, she's just trying to contemplate taking Sirius to a muggle wedding. Not just any muggle wedding, but like her sister's wedding. Like, it would be insane. But the more she thinks about it, the more she's like, oh my gosh, it's the only person I can take. She's like, you have to be normal, you know? Like, fitting in at a party, like, you have to be normal. And Sirius is like, fitting in at a party where I hate everyone there? Has my childhood prepared me for nothing? Anyway, so I'm very excited about this. If you have followed me on TikTok for a long time, you know this is probably the only TikTok I made that like got 1 million views. So it was pretty popular. And then I had a bunch of people, oh, I forgot about this. Then I had a bunch of people stealing this idea and posting it on AO3 and Wattpad. I had to like comment and be like, hey, this is my TikTok. And like, some people fought me on it. They were like, no, this is not. And I was like, this is word for word my TikTok. Like, yeah, you added a little bit, but only because it was going from TikTok to writing format. And I was like, you gotta just say that it's me. Like, I'm fine with people like changing up my ideas or doing anything, but you gotta say like where it came from. And yeah, some people were very upsetty spaghetti about that, and it was very funny. Anyway, first something, I don't know, dash with people stealing my ideas, I think. Anyway, okay, but Sirius is excited at first, but as more time went on, it really sunk in that like he's gonna be leaving Remus during the full moon. No matter how many times Remus is like, it's fine, it doesn't feel fine. He's like, if you come back with like more scars and stuff, he's like, okay, I've had almost 2 years without them. Hey, me editing realized like 30 seconds of this got cut out, so just excuse this. But yeah, so it's the night before the wedding. Remus is like, I've had 2 years without the scars. It's fine. Lily needs this. It's going to be fine. But Sirius is not buying it. And Remus, upon seeing that, is like rolling his eyes. Like, yeah, he's scared about what's going to happen when the wolf comes into consciousness and finds that like his favorite playmate is just nowhere to be found. In fact, he's so worried that he made sure that James and Peter have a way to get out of the shack just in case something goes very wrong. But again, Lily needed this, no matter how much she's claiming otherwise. Like, she needs it. And so anyway, so Lily and Sirius have to leave early that day for like security reasons. They had to like use the Floo to go to the Potters and then travel via the night bus so that no one would expect them there. And then they would like hide out at like a magic shelter close to the wedding venue just so like nobody possibly infiltrating the ministry would be able to see them apparate. Anyway, I think that's it. Anyway, here's the tea about the ministry and watching magic. I think before the First War, the trace was kind of a thing for everybody, not just kids underage. And this is like going to become important in later war things. But it's not like as advanced. Like, they can't see like what somebody's doing, but they just kind of have this ability to see where magic is. So anyway, point is they have to be super careful. But they would see that there's magic at Petunia's wedding, but as long as they didn't see like Lily coming, they would have no reason to believe it was anything except for like the precautions that have been following Petunia ever since, you know, stuff happened. So they would leave at like 6 a.m, which nobody's happy about. But Minerva worked really hard to get everything right for Lily, so like they left without complaining. But when they left, like Sirius is like, bye Remus, and like not even letting him get up out of bed. And he's like, just keep me updated. And he's like, I will. Because it's not just the full moon. There's some other things in store for this day. As it turned out, Peter had been lying about the whole date with Kyra thing, but it didn't really matter because, like, he just didn't want to go.
Fair enough.
But they needed a good day for this prank anyway, and it just so happened to fall on the day of the wedding and the full moon, which was, like, not the most convenient, but it's the day that worked. Anyway, so at breakfast that morning, the ghost began to help. The boys locked the entire school in the Great Hall, which took them finding like this secret like security system that like is only used in like cases of a lot of emergency, like what happens when Sirius breaks in and like the stuff. So they found all of that. And they were like, okay, cool, so we're just gonna lock everyone in the Great Hall real quick. And the ghosts begin a trivia game. And the first house to 20 points gets to leave the Great Hall. And so things get crazy pretty fast. With the help of like Mary and her friends as well, they like just scoured the library and found a mixture of like obscure historical facts, like little known incantations, along with like plenty of just muggle questions, with the requirement that no one with muggles living in their house could answer them. And like they just have like the hardest trivia questions of all time. And everybody in the hall is like extremely confused. Classes were canceled as none of the professors could even get out. And everyone's pretty concerned except for Dumbledore. He's like having a great time. He's like playing along with the Dumbledores, or not with the Dumbledores, with the Gryffindors. That's what I meant. Genuinely, no one knew what was happening, like outside, but it didn't take them long to notice who was missing from the set of action at the Gryffindor table. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is also a good way for them to like hide the fact that Lily and Sirius were gone, because like they're like, oh shoot, they're just doing something. It had taken all week to set up. And they had spent hours setting a single spell over all of the castle. But with the help of like a clever spell that James has come up with, none of the spells are like active until they do like another like trigger spell. So it's like they've set up everything and it took them forever, but none of it's going to go off until they had the entire castle to themselves for a second. So that's what they're doing. Anyway, this had all started when James had seen a picture of a muggle ball pit. And he had asked Lily what the point of it was, and she couldn't answer him. She's like, it's fun. He's like, like, what's the point? She's like, dude, I don't know. Anyway, so he had spent a while figuring out how many little plastic balls would be needed to fill, say, every hallway in Hogwarts. Like, fill them, like 5 feet at least. And so that's what today was. So the three boys worked from opposite ends of the castle, lighting off the trigger spells until they worked their way back to the Great Hall. So like they went all the way back.
Oh my god!
But none of them had actually gone off yet, and that's the brilliance of the game. Nothing would work until someone stepped on a tile on the floor, and then all of the plastic balls for that like square footage would like appear and then like fall, you know. And so but even after. But the balls themselves wouldn't trigger the next tile. But then if they stepped on the next one, then the same thing would happen.
I imagine
and
it's
also,
like months after, like some hallway no one uses, and then all of a sudden just...
That's part of their plan. But the only place that didn't have them were like the secret passageways. So anyway, it had been a good solid time, but when they're done, they slipped quickly back into the Great Hall, which is like absolutely thriving, so much so that like nobody noticed them like walk back in until they're like, wait, what the heck, they're here again. But it was another hour before any house got to 20 points, but of course it was Ravenclaw, followed closely by Hufflepuffs, and even the Slytherins had gotten into it after Dumbledore began assigning real house points to everything that like was in the game. So it was pretty neck and neck, but eventually the Ravenclaws won. But of course it doesn't really mean anything because the whole thing was just a distraction to keep them in there. So like once the Ravenclaws leave, like everybody's allowed to leave. But the Ravenclaws get to go first. So anyway, the Ravenclaws win the 20 points. Blue and silver banners shoot out from everywhere. There's cheers and the door unlocks. And the schools let the Ravenclaws go first. But once they get out there, it's quiet. It's a little too quiet. They've all been expecting something. They know what's up, but nothing seems to be there. And one of them's like, I just have to do it. And so somebody does, and they step on the first tile and just boom. And they're like, what the heck? And the student's like, oh my gosh, it's booby trapped. I'm sure every tile is different. And James is like, shoot, we should have thought of that. But Remus is like, I honestly think this is going to be funnier though. And so another brave student takes a dramatic step onto the next tile, but it's the exact same thing. But yeah, after like the fifth tile, they realize it's just a lot of just plastic, like, plastic ball pit balls. It's just, yeah, it's a lot. Anyway, so that's kind of fun. Let's go check in on Sirius and Lily at the wedding. So they're waiting around until the wedding had started. Had been a pretty good day for them because James and Sirius had their mirrors, and so they're talking constantly and they're updating them about everything that's happening, at the castle, and like how everything's going and how all the things are working, and it's great. And it gets Sirius and Lily laughing like up until they leave, and so then they change, and Lily looks great. She looks stunning, and Sirius looks normal, and it's shocking. He's taken out like his earrings. He put his hair back into like a neat bun. He's wearing like a suit, and he looks kind of like Regulus, except like more laid back. And Lily's like, "What's happening?" Like, she can't believe it. She's never seen him wear a tie normally in her life. It's kind of crazy. It does wonders for him in like looking normal. Anyway, so Lily takes his arm, and I feel like it's in like a super nice like chapel, like cathedral or something. But anyway, so it's in a church. It's a thing. And Lily and Sirius decide to like take like a very modest seat in like the middle of the bride's side. Petunia doesn't want Lily to be her bridesmaid, so she's like, she probably doesn't want me to sit in front with like family, So anyway, it's working out. But they sit, and only a few people who are like friends of her parents like recognize her, but Lily's like trying to not draw her attention to herself. It's like Petunia's day. Anyway, the music starts, people entered, and Lily's like, man, no suit can make Vernon look good. That's a shame. She's like, I just don't like that man. Anyway, but she tries to remind herself, she's like, Petunia's happy, it's all good. And then she sees Petunia enter. And Petunia enters alone, and that just really stings because like a part of her wondered if she was gonna like have someone else like walk her down the aisle, like maybe even like Vernon's dad or something, but no, she walks alone. She's a queen for like a second, and Lily's like, dang, I'm like actually kind of proud of that. Like that kind of goes hard. But anyway, and she's like, honestly, like it's probably the way her dad would have wanted it, because like I feel like their dad would have been like, I don't want to do like the whole giving away thing, like that's just kind of weird, kind of creepy, or like giving his permission or like whatever, like no. But anyway, Petunia walks down the aisle, and she like meets eyes with Lily, and they both smile, and it's like a real moment, and she's like, oh dang, it's like everything's just fine. And she's like, yeah, it's great. And then Petunia passes, and then it's like Lily comes back to her senses, and then they sit, and Sirius is like, are you good? And she's like, yeah. And she's like wiping a tear from her eye. And then like the dude starts speaking, like the minister or whatever. Sorry, my bad. And Lily just sighs, and then just with the air of like having to say something just to like get it out, she goes, that's the ugliest dress I've ever seen in my life. And Sirius looks at her, and he's like in shock, and then they like have to like hold in the most intense laughter they've ever had because it's a bad dress. I looked up pictures of 70s dresses. I think that's what Petunia wore. I'm gonna put it up. I don't think it's a good dress. I think it's bad. I also think those were probably the bridesmaid dresses. Anyway, let's get back to Hogwarts. We gotta get back to Hogwarts. You never saw a Harry Potter musical, did you? Okay, well, we'll have to send that to you at some point. So anyway, things are going well. It had taken over an hour for people to like get out of the Great Hall, like just at all, because every time they try and go, there's more. It's a lot of plastic balls. It's just a lot. Anyway, so people decide to just brave it. It doesn't go well. The hallway up to the Ravenclaws was like carefully marked so people knew like where to step to like not cause more, and everything's great. But the way to the Gryffindor Tower had the exact opposite problem. But yeah, most students just waited until most students were trying to just wait until like teachers figured things out. But the problem was they were not. They like couldn't even like make the plastic balls like disappear on themselves, like by themselves, and then like the trigger stuff, like you're not gonna get rid of them. But anyway, so Minerva comes up to James, and like she's like, okay, what do we need to like reverse this? And he's like, I don't think I can do that. And she's like, yes, you can. You've had your fun today, but this is going to go on longer than you think. He's like, the plastic balls will disappear after 3 days. And she's like, yeah, but how long will it take until every tile in the school is stepped on? It could be months. It could be years. And James just grins. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, Potter, really, you're head boy now. You can't just keep on doing things like this and then not helping us after. He's like, with all due respect, it was an order from Dumbledore. And she's like, it was not an order from the headmaster, Potter. And then she turns and Dumbledore's just kind of behind her and he's like, might have been. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she's just like, just get out of here. And then James does. Anyway. Well, as best as he could.
Then immediately just gets like,
yeah. Anyway. So the reception. The ceremony is just like way too long and far too boring, and Lily couldn't like make herself feel what she felt when like she saw Petunia go down the aisle. Like she tries, she's like, I don't like this wedding. It's not a good time, but it's okay because I'm being supportive and it's fine. Anyway, maybe it's just all the harsh things in her letters. Maybe it's the fact that Petunia is literally wearing jewelry that Lily's mom had promised would go to her. It just wasn't a happy day for Lily. Anyway, but she had to admit, Sirius is making things so much better. He's really good. I think this is what I wrote. I said he was really good at talking with men about men things, which she had never seen. Yeah, which she had never seen happen before. And there was something about him like knowing more about how cars actually work than like the Muggles did that just really made her laugh. Like she's like, what is going on here? That combined with when he would make fun of like particularly obnoxious cousins of Vernon's like to their faces without them noticing. It's a good time. She's having great. She's having great.
Sirius has been training for this.
He has been training for this.
He's
this is
ready.
like literally this is everything. But apparently it was all just preparation for the main event, because when the wedding dinner is served, Petunia's like, yo, Lily, there is a seat saved for you and that boy at the head table if you want it. And Lily's like, yeah, of course, Petunia, you look great. I love your dress. And but you know, Petunia's in the best mood that Lily had ever seen, and she's not gonna mess it up. And she's like, serious, you can't mess this up either. And he's like, he doesn't. He leads the conversation. Lily like had to give him like a fake name because Sirius sounds way too like weird. And so he named himself Sean. And Sean is an attractive dude who knows about cars and pretends to be fascinated with everything that comes out of Vernon's mouth. So much so that Lily like almost starts believing it until she would like see the slight way that like his face would contort when like Vernon would say certain things. But anyway, he keeps it together. It's great. He makes Petunia laugh. It's all fake. It's not what Sirius would do, but he is good at it. He's so good at this. But anyway, when dinner was being taken away, Petunia walks over to Lily, and she does the most shocking and clearly unplanned thing that she's ever done. She asks Lily if she wants to dance. She's like, I was just thinking, since Dad isn't here, I mean, the plan was just to start, but if you want to, like... So the father-daughter dance turns into, the sisters dance. And it's hard, and it's kind of awkward, but if that's not an olive branch, Lily doesn't know what it is. And so the rest of the night was fine. Lily danced and she finds herself like separated from Sirius at one point. And then she like goes outside and he's just looking at the moon. And she's like, oh shoot. And she's like, we can probably go back now if you want. And he's like, and ruin the lovely reconciliation between you two made with the help of Sean? No. He's like, we can't just leave now. He's like, plus Sean. He's like, plus Remus is already like, I mean, I can't really go in and help him now. Like, it would be too dangerous.
He can't stop now.
He can't stop being Sean. But anyway, but Lily's like, you're doing fantastic. And she's like, but if it's too much, we don't have to. He's like, no, Sean is helping. He's like, and plus it's like a little better if I just don't think about it. And he's like, James is taking care of him. He's fine. And so with that, they turned and he offers his arm to come back inside with him. And she does. So in the shack, things were not fine, but James knew that, but things weren't like bad. The wolf is just entirely too suspicious of what is happening. James knew he couldn't like take them out and let them go roam the forest. Like they had to stay in the shack. And after a while, the wolf gets angry and soon there's noises and howls and then self-destructive behavior. And then, you know, when he witnessed he witnessed the wolf like scratch a bloody gash into his own body, he's like, well, shoot, I got to do something. So he just runs into the wolf hoping to surprise him. And he sure did. But then the wolf is like, I'm going to attack James. And so I think
Uh-oh.
he did bite James. And oh my goodness gracious, I'm gonna sob. Yo, you're never gonna believe what just went down. Everything stopped working, which was really frustrating. But then we found this YouTube of like this 10-year-old kid explaining everything perfectly in like 2 minutes. He was like, this is what's wrong, here's what's gonna happen, and here's how you're gonna fix it. And he totally worked. Oh my gosh, I love that kid. That kid's my hero now. Anyway, we're gonna go back and we're gonna finish this as quickly as possible because now I'm a little bit scared. But anyway, so I think we were in the shack, right?
Yeah.
Yo.
Not
So anyway,
going
things
well.
were not fine. James got bit, but like it doesn't affect him when he's an
Hopefully.
animagus. I think they know that at some point. I think like they've had enough scrapes and stuff, but it's not great. It's not going great. But eventually, like, James doesn't know what to do or where to go, but eventually the wolf kind of calms down and just begins pacing again, and that cycle just, like, continues until the morning. It's not very fun. But anyway, back to the wedding. When the wedding was ending, before Petunia and Vernon, like, made their grand exit, Petunia pulls Lily aside, and she's like, thank you for coming. She's like, I know things aren't perfect, and Lily's like, it's all right. It was good. It was fun. I hope you and Vernon are very happy. And Petunia smiled, and she's like, and I gotta say, Sean is such a good match for you. Like, oh my gosh, that man. He's pretty epic. And she's like, yeah, I guess he's pretty chill. And she's like, so are you two like an item? And she's like, no, I'm actually dating James. Sean is his friend. Actually, his name isn't Sean. His name is Sirius. And Petunia's like, okay, I'll never understand you. You see a perfectly good boy like him, but you go crazy for a bloke who tries to climb up houses. And she's like, well, I couldn't go for Sirius even if I wanted to. I think his boyfriend would be pretty upset with me. And Petunia's like shook. And Lily's like, but I actually think you would really like his boyfriend, Remus. You know, I wanted to bring him here tonight, but unfortunately it's the full moon and he's a werewolf. So, you know. And Lily just kind of shrugs it off. And Petunia's like, bro, what the heck? But then just decided it's not worth it and just leaves without another word. But then soon after, Lily and Sirius leave. But before they take the night bus home, Sirius is like, can we do something? And Lily's like, what the heck does this mean? And she's like, yeah, this is like, sure. And he's like, I think it might take like an hour or two. And she's like, okay. He's like, have you ever been to Nocturne Alley? She's like, serious. But then when he tells her what he wants, she's like, okay, we can do that. So the next morning, Remus wakes up in the hospital wing with just several piles of plastic balls everywhere, but it's fine, don't worry about it. But Sirius is already by his side, and before he speaks, Sirius is like, okay, shut up, because Madame Pomfrey doesn't know anybody was coming in this morning, and she didn't want me because like you're hurt, but like you're hurt, so like what the heck. And Remus is like, Remus already knows this, but he's like, okay, it's not that bad. Sirius is you're being over dramatic, she's being over dramatic, everybody's dramatic. And Sirius is like, sure. But he's like, you want to see something that might cheer you up? And he's like, all the plastic balls around, because those are pretty exciting. But Remus is like, sure. And Sirius pulls up his left shirt sleeve, and there on his forearm above the unbreakable vow band is just a beautiful tattoo. And it is the moon phases in a circle, kind of like my thing, but like whatever, we're good with one in the middle.
You know.
With a large moon that's currently barely not a full moon, and he's like, the one in the middle changes when the real one does, and it's so cute, and there's like stars around
That's
it and
cool.
stuff. I know. And he's like, that way I'll never forget. And he's like, not that I could anyway. But Remus is just like speechless. He's like, serious. He's like, you did not have to do this. And he's like, I've been wanting to do it since 5th year, like at least. He's like, he probably thought of it when he was like in 3rd year, and he was like, yo, one day that's gonna be sick. But Remus is just silent. He can't stop looking at it, and the placement isn't lost on him either. There's never going to be a dark mark there because it's in place of that. There's only the moon. But anyway, he's like, but Sirius is like, no matter what happens, I never want to forget that like you're hurting. And Remus leans in and kisses him, because how else could Sirius say I love you? You know, it's so cute. Anyway. Those are the vibes. Yeah, I freaking love that episode. I think it's a good one. I've wanted Sirius to get that tattoo for a while, but I'm like, when? Because it couldn't have been during the summer. I think he was a little bit too upset for that. But I think now begins Sirius getting just a lot of tattoos. Just a lot. He is a lot. But also, not to make everybody sad, but yes, to make everybody sad, he has that while he's in Azkaban. He has this tattoo that always reminds him of Remus in Azkaban, and everybody cry about it in the comments. Do it.
Do it.
Do it right now. Yeah. Any thoughts?
I like that we specified that like the Marauders knew how to work like the security in the Great Hall, and so what do they do when Sirius breaks into Hogwarts? Is use the security system in the Great Hall.
I didn't think about that. That's really great. Remus is like, we know what. Wait, no, he wasn't. Yeah, he was there. He was teaching at Hogwarts, and he's like, you know what we have to do. And they're like, didn't he do this before? And he was like, yeah, it wasn't him, though.
It was like,
oh my gosh.
James.
It was all James. Yeah. My gosh. No, yeah, but the fact that I think just the fact, like, just writing this, and I don't think it's something that I have added a lot, because it was always implied that they, you know, because they made the map, they knew where all of these secret entrances were, and Remus didn't say a thing the whole time when he was there in third year. He didn't tell Dumbledore. He wasn't like, hey, there's this passage here that you guys have just left completely unattended. Like, he just didn't.
He's not gonna snitch on that.
Which is so, oh my gosh. That's why I'm like, he had to have more doubts than it was implied that he had, and he had to be in love with him. That's just, those are the only explanations. Because I'm like, why would Remus be like, you know what, I'm just not going to do that, when he knows that, I see, that's the other thing. I think that Remus never thought that Sirius was after Harry. Maybe until, like, that first break-in. I think he always thought that he was after Remus, you know? I don't know.
Maybe he's just that dedicated to like a good prank.
Oh my god!
Like, he's just leaving the door open in case.
He's like, well, you know, just in case, you know, Sirius wants to have, like, he wants to bring in another prank. And, like,
I meant like as in like Fred and George. Like,
no,
he's not gonna ruin it for everyone.
but like I think it would be really funny if he's like, you know what, he broke it at Azkaban.
I
bet he just wants to pull like a really good prank, you know?
Like the bloody handprint is back.
Dude, that's what happened. He like, okay. Sirius goes in, he breaks in, he tries to kill Peter. You know, it's a whole thing. It's very dramatic. He goes, as he's leaving, he leaves a bloody handprint on Remus's door.
That's actually, you know how
the scrapes like that is actually Remus goes in to investigate, and it's a bloody handprint. He's like,
no.
Oh my gosh. He's like, Mans was joking the whole time. It's all a prank.
I imagine like McGonagall is like, this looks weirdly familiar, and Remus is like, wonder who that could have been.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, all of that has never made sense to me unless they were in love. You know? It's the only thing. And Alan Rickman knew it. Because he delivered that line, like, bickering like an old married couple a little bit too well. You know what I'm saying? He knew what was up. Anyway, we can probably finish out this episode. Yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening.
Hopefully you can watch.
Listen, shut up, Emma. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be great. No, but shout out to that one kid on YouTube.
Yeah.
Who helped us figure out this camera issue, because that man just popped off.
He knew it was
He knew it was up. He killed it. But no, this is still better than having to get up every 10 minutes. We only got up like once. And it was our first time using it. It was great. But the fun thing about this camera is that I can do live streams and it works great. So follow me on Twitch. Because I do that sometimes. And sometimes I play Minecraft and sometimes I play Papers, Please. And sometimes people are trying to fix the garage right under us while we're recording. So that's pretty fun. Anyway, Shout out to Metamorph Modest for the lovely cover art that went on these t-shirts, and also for talking to my mom and and giving her the thing. Yeah, that's pretty epic. And then, yeah, shout out to Benji. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye.